Hi, my name is Kate, and I was born with no private parts. I wish I could say it was a figure of speech, but it's very real. When I was a young kid, I didn't realize anything was wrong. To me, it seemed completely normal. I thought every other child looked the way I did, and no one told me there was something different about me. It was until we had a biology class about the reproductive system. The teacher explained all about the different organs and the distribution inside and outside the body. Suddenly, I had so many questions, but I couldn't ask them in front of all my classmates. I rushed home that day and begged my mom for answers. I still remember how worried she looked. She went pale and sighed. She had been dreading this moment for a long time, and now she finally had to explain my condition. It was the most confusing day of my entire life. Suddenly, everything changed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and in fact, ended up calling my mom a liar. She told me I was born with no private parts and that it was a rare condition. I could still go to the toilet normally, but I'd never be able to have children of my own. I completely freaked out, screamed at her, and rushed up to my room. I didn't want to speak to anyone after that, and even ended up missing a few days of school. My parents understood I was struggling, so they didn't force me to leave the house. They did speak to me often and tried their best to make me understand what was going on and how it would affect my life. Eventually, I went back to school and everything seemed to go back to normal. I didn't really understand how this would affect my life in the future. I was too young to comprehend it fully yet, so I remained my old happy self. That was until I got my first crush on a guy. I was a teenager, so we just kissed, but I began wondering what would happen if I ever wanted to do more. Suddenly, it hit me that I was different from all those around me, and my life wouldn't be the same as theirs. I began retreating little by little and felt depressed most of the time. I became quiet and stopped hanging out with my friends, too scared they'd find out about the truth somehow. By the time I graduated high school, I barely had any friends at all and had become a total outcast. This wasn't because people didn't want to speak to me, but because I refused to talk to almost anyone. I became so paranoid and self conscious, feeling like a complete freak. As I became an adult, another realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I would never be able to get pregnant. Sure, I understood it before, but I was too young to actually care about it. Now, when I imagined myself being a mom, I had to deal with the fact that it was impossible to carry a child myself. This only made things worse, and I stopped going out of my house at all. It was the darkest time of my life. I thought I had no future, and I completely lost myself in my depression. Thank heavens I had my family who supported me no matter what. Mom and dad stood by my side every step of the way, and they were the ones who convinced me to see a shrink. I needed to come to terms with my condition, they explained. I was so terrified people would think I was a freak, but during my therapy, I came to realize that the truth was, I saw myself as a freak. And how could anyone love me if I didn't love myself first? It took me a long time to begin accepting the fact that I was different from other women my age, that I wasn't able to be with a man in a normal way, that I had to find other ways of showing my love when I dated someone. Sure, dating would be hard, and some guys just wouldn't accept my condition, but I discovered that not everyone was so prejudiced as I thought when I was younger. Eventually, I got better and managed to overcome my depression. I applied for college and began my studies again, feeling full of life and happy once more. But it was still hard. I only dated guys one or two times, unable to tell them the truth about the way I was born. That was until I met Ben. Ben was amazing from the start. He was so sweet and understanding to everyone around us, and that's what I liked so much about him. We went on several dates, but I was terrified to tell him the truth. After a month of seeing each other, though, I knew the time had come. Either I stopped hanging out with him, or I came clean. Would you believe that he told me he'd stick by me even with my condition? That he liked me just the way I was? I couldn't believe it. A few years later, we graduated, and Ben asked me to marry him. I immediately said yes, knowing he was the right man for me. He doesn't care that I can't get pregnant. We want kids, though, and so we are in the process of adopting a beautiful child we'll raise together as a family. I still wish I could experience the joys of pregnancy, but I've come to terms with the fact that it's not in the stars for me. Ben's support has also helped me greatly. Today, we got a call about a baby girl who's been put up for adoption. I have such a good feeling about this. Wish us luck. Thanks for watching. Have you ever dealt with something that made you feel like you couldn't fit in? And don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel.